Hello and welcome back to another class. My name is Tati and this is part 9 of the 10-part Yamas and Niyamas series. So if you're just finding this video, I've linked all the other classes for you in the description box below. You don't have to do them in any particular order. And today's class is focused on the 4th niyama called Svadhyaya, which is self-study. And the yamas and the niyamas are the first two limbs of yoga. So these are the ethical observances and restraints that we practice in yoga. And these are the things that we can practice off the mat. So we practice them on the mat so that it can trickle out into our daily life. And throughout this 10-part series, I will be guiding you through these yin style classes where we also discuss the yamas and niyamas. I can give you journal prompts and practices that you can take off the mat with you. For today's class, you might like to have a bolster or a blanket or pillow if you don't have a bolster. If you haven't already subscribed, why not click so you can join the community and not miss out on any new videos. And with that, I'd say let's get started in a comfortable cross-legged position on your mat. Just arriving in the practice, breathing deeply and letting the day roll off your shoulders with the exhalation. Just enjoying being in your body for the next half hour. And we'll be starting today's class with box breathing. So if you do tend to get lightheaded or for whatever reason can't hold your breath, you can simply take nice deep inhalations and exhalations through the nose and into the belly. So just normal yogic breathing. But if you'd like to join us in box breathing, we're going in patterns of 4. So inhale to the count of 4, hold to the count of 4. Exhale to the count of 4, hold to the count of 4, and repeat. So I'll be guiding you through the first round and then you can do it in your own time. We're breathing through the nostrils. So letting the breath go, and then with the inhalation, 4, 3, 2, 1, hold, 4, 3, 2, 1, and exhale, 1, 2, 3, 4, hold, 4, 3, 2, 1, and inhale. And I'll let you do this in your own time. It's like going round in a box shape. Breathing in 4, holding 4, exhaling 4, holding 4, and repeating. And really try focus on your breath, the quality of your breath. Hopefully it's nice and smooth and deep. One more round. And whenever you're done, just returning to a natural breath, resting the hands on the knees, relaxing the shoulders away from the ears. And then inhale, taking a nice nourishing breath as you sweep the arms up and overhead, stretching the fingers long and bringing the palms to touch at heart center. Today's class is focused on self-study, and the Patanjali's Yoga Sutra says, "Study thyself, discover the divine." Inhale, sweeping those arms up and overhead again. Left hand onto right knee, right fingertips float behind, spiraling the chest over towards the right side. So really creating spaciousness and openness across the chest while finding a gentle seated twist. If your right fingertips can't quite reach the mat, you can always place them on the right hip. Relaxing the shoulders and the jaw muscles. And unwinding the twist. Inhale, sweeping the arms up and overhead. Right hand comes onto left knee. Left fingertips spiral open towards the back. Tenting the left fingertips behind you. Chest is spiraled open. Seated twist to the left side. And still taking nice deep breaths. Exhale, unwinding the twist, bringing the bottoms of the feet to touch, knees fall to either side. And you're welcome to slide the feet forward to lessen the stretch or bring them closer to the body. Option to round the upper spine in butterfly pose. And the first invitation to practice Svadhyaya or self-study off the mat is next time you're out and about in your daily life, notice what you project onto others. And often these are the things that you're either unable or unwilling to acknowledge in yourself. There's a saying that you can't notice something in another if it's not already in you. So practicing to notice where you project onto others as a way of self-study. And recognizing that these traits might be inside you too. And gently pressing yourself up out of butterfly pose, bending the right knee so the right foot comes towards the left hip, and then stacking the left knee on top of the right, also bending the left knee so the left foot comes towards the right hip, finding shoelace pose. So nice tall spine here. Option to round the spine and lean forward. This is just an extra option. It's a very strong hip opener, so finding a pose that feels comfortable to you. We don't want any pain in the knee. And often we come to yoga for physical reasons. And as our bodies become stronger and more flexible, the energy can flow more freely through us. And we also become more aware of the energy flowing through us, which in turn allows us to be more attentive to the thought patterns that form in our head and the emotions that come up in our life. Exhale, releasing shoelace pose, switching sides, so bending the left knee, left foot comes towards the right hip, stacking the right knee on top of the left, so bending the right knee so the right foot comes towards the left hip, shoelace pose on the other side, tall spine or folding forward. Being more attentive to these thought patterns that form in our head and the emotions that come up in our life, it can point us to the realization that every moment of our life we can be at cause and help point our life in a specific direction. So yoga is the process of constant evolution towards yourself. And of course, that also means that the process of self-study is very important. And coming out of shoelace pose, resting the feet on the mat with the knees bent. Perhaps windscreen wipering the knees from side to side. And then slowly finding your way all the way onto your back. Feet are mat width distance apart and the knees fall in towards one another into constructive rest. The hands can be on the belly or palms facing up. And the second invitation to practice self-study off the mat is by noticing how you blame others or where you take responsibility for someone else's problems. And the invitation is to practice taking responsibility for yourself and letting others be responsible for themselves. I'm here finding an inversion, so bringing the legs to the sky. You're welcome to slide a bolster underneath the hips to elevate your hips a bit, bending into the knees as much as you need, or coming up against a wall if you're near one. Again, welcome to rest the feet against the wall or straightening the legs up. A third way that we can practice Svadhyaya off the mat is by discovering some of the boxes that we have wrapped ourselves in. And the way that we can do this is by tracing all ripples of disharmony back to yourself. Noticing what personal belief system has caused this disharmony. Is your belief true? And are you experiencing reality or a box? And these boxes are very natural. They come about through various different ways, coping mechanisms. But taking the time to find stillness so we can observe them can be a helpful part of the self-study and self-discovery process. And all of these practices, it's really encouraged to do some form of journaling to deepen your self-study. Exhale, releasing the yin inversion. And then if you have a bolster or pillow, sliding the short edge to the inside of the left hip, stacking the knees on top of one another, letting them fall to the left side, squaring the hips over the bolster, so either hand on either side of the bolster, and then falling with the length of the body over the bolster. You might like to rest your left cheek on the bolster. Palms can face up or down. Settling in here and taking the time to get really comfortable in this pose. Part of self-study in everyday life, we can always ask ourselves, why am I doing this? Am I doing this because I am taking responsibility for myself or others' problems? Am I doing this because I've got a box wrapped around myself and I'm just doing this out of an automatic reaction? Or is this something that I'm doing to guide me towards my greater and higher self, towards my divinity? The fourth invitation to practice Svadhyaya off the mat is to grow the power of your witness by watching all your actions and thoughts as if you were watching a movie. So begin to experience yourself as supreme strength, the fullness of wisdom and unquenchable joy. Unwrapping yourself. So this witness is a key part of meditation. So witnessing the thoughts as they come in and out of your mind, and knowing that these thoughts aren't you, they just pass through you. They're not what make you you. This ties back in with the earlier prompt where we want to discover some of the boxes that we've wrapped ourselves in. And these are very often created by our thoughts. Exhale, releasing out of the bolster pose. So just bringing both feet to rest on the mat with the knees bent. And then slowly letting the knees fall over towards the right side. Squaring the body to face the bolster. And then resting the right cheek on the bolster. In yoga, during the practice on the mat, studying the breath is key, and this can be seen as the first form of self-study. So that's where we start to practice our self-study muscle. So study the breath. And then a second stage would be to study where you hold tension in the body. So becoming more aware of the sensation and tension in the body. And a third stage, taking it even further in the self-study, is to examine what thoughts are filling your head. So what are you thinking about right now? And it is encouraged to study yourself as you move through the physical poses. It's like a loudspeaker, how you act off the mat. It can be either easier or harder doing this in faster paced classes or slower classes. We're all different. Some of us find it easier to focus on ourselves when we're moving rapidly. Others find it easier to do that when we have time to slow down. I'd be really interested to know if you're someone who finds self-practice easier in a slower paced class or a faster paced class. So let me know in the comments. And exhale, slowly coming out of your bolster rotation, moving the bolster to one side, and then coming either to a cross-legged position or sitting up on your bolster, or finding hero pose, so sitting down on your heels. Anywhere you can sit comfortably for the next 2 minutes in meditation. Forming a seal mudra with the fingers, so touching the thumb and index finger together, resting the hands on the knees. Making use of this powerful contemplative mudra. And we'll be studying the breath, so noticing the sensation of the breath flowing in and out, feeling where the breath travels in the body, the rise and fall of the chest and the belly with each inhalation and exhalation. Is the breath deep or shallow? What texture does the breath have? Is it smooth? And then moving on to study where in the body you might still be holding onto any tension, feeling into the jaw muscles. Is the jaw clenched or relaxed? Is the forehead relaxed? How about your shoulders, your belly? And then perhaps observing what thoughts are currently filling your head. Just observing them and then returning back to focusing on the inhalation and the exhalation. Releasing the meditation and coming into child's pose. You're welcome to keep the knees wide with the big toes touching, or bringing the knees together with the arms coming behind you. So whichever variation feels most restorative and comforting to you now. Resting the forehead on the mat. And reflecting on all of the practices and journal prompts that we discussed in class. If you've already forgotten all of them, know that I've linked them for you in the description box below, so you can go back after class and do a bit of journaling. This is highly encouraged. Slowly coming up out of child's pose, gently pressing yourself up and onto your back. So you can slide a bolster or pillow to the small of your back. So the long end of the bolster is parallel to the short edge of the mat. And releasing the legs straight out in front of you, or bringing them into a butterfly shape. If this feels too strong having the bolster, you can also practice without the bolster. Arms stretched to either sides, palms facing up. Feeling the expansion across the chest. By paying attention to or studying ourself, we become more aware of the things we do that harm us and also those that serve us and bring us closer to the process of yoking or uniting with the true self. Sliding the bolster to one side. If you were practicing with the bolster, hugging the knees into the chest, giving yourself a loving embrace, maybe gently rocking from side to side to release any tension in the lower spine. And then taking any final movements before finding your way into our final resting pose, Shavasana. Arms and legs stretch away from the body, palms facing up, and letting the whole body relax, release tension, letting the body sink heavy into the earth. Breath flowing naturally, and I'll call us back when it is time. Slowly start to deepen the breath. Notice any sounds in the room around you. Keeping the eyes closed and gently inviting movement back into the body by wriggling the fingers and the toes. Stretching the arms up and overhead, finding length. Hugging the knees into the chest. And then rolling over one side into the fetal position, forming a pillow with the arm. Just taking a moment to integrate the practice. Notice how your energy has shifted now at the end of class. And gently pressing yourself up into a seated position, keeping the eyes closed. Thumb and index finger touching in a seal mudra, resting the hands on the knees. Breathing deeply. And then bringing the palms to touch, bowing the gaze in gratitude. Namaste. Thank you so very much for practicing this Svadhyaya self-study practice with me today. I really hope that you enjoyed it. Let me know in the comments which type of class you prefer, the slower or faster paced classes for self-study. I'd really love to hear from you. As I mentioned, all of the journal prompts and practices are linked for you in the description box below, as well as the other classes that are part of this series. If you have been following along step by step through all of these, well done. We're almost at the end. And if you've been practicing them in a random order, I would love to hear how you're getting along. I've also been sharing my own experiences and self-study of the Yamas and Niyamas in blog posts, which you can find on my website, tativonyoga.com. You can also find a lot more short form content on my Instagram at tativonyoga, so maybe I'll see you over there. And if you haven't already subscribed, why not click that subscribe button so you can join our lovely community of yogis over here, and so that you don't miss any new classes. And I look forward to seeing you again real soon. All my love.